Hi, welcome to the channel. My name's Pete and this is most likely going to be part 4, the final part of the Farnley branch line. What you can see behind me is an embankment. I was hoping to get on top of there, but as you can see there's a fence here, and that is all now Whitehall Industrial Estate, and they are doing some construction work up there, so there's no access to that. But about there are some photographs taken of inside the fire clear works, where it went from standard gauge to narrow gauge and into the fire clear works. So I'll put those pictures up now for you, and I hope you like them. So that's where we were with the photographs, looking over that way. The embankment's up there, well fenced off. I think the modern industrial estate at the other side of that more or less comes right up to the edge. I did see that this fence runs out down here, so we'll have a look at what that is. This is the end of the fence now, embankment, but I can see at the top of there is a fence right at the top of the embankment. So there's no, I mean, yeah, I could get up there, but there's actually no walking across the top of it because it's where that unit is. You know, strangely enough, where that unit is, it used to be a pit at the other side and very low down, and there used to be a tunnel that went through here to access the fire clear works for the workers. And there was an old lodge at the other side. I haven't got any photographs of those, but what I have got is a photograph of the old tunnel that used to go through there. I'll get there, I'll match that up, and then we'll get onto Whitehall Road and try and walk back along the bridge as far as we can and see what's left of the embankment to access. Before we continue on down the line, we'll just go to the side-by-side map. This is all the Farnley Ironworks. And where we are, we're about here to start with. If you look across onto the right map, you should be able to see that a little bit better. We're about there on the new industrial map. This is where the building. Back to the old map, and you can see where all the sidings go in to the Farnley Ironworks. We covered all this on the last episode and what buildings existed and remained. So this time we're going to go down, follow this embankment. This, I'm going to zoom in a little bit closer for you to see if we can get any better detail. So there we can see is the underpass. We've got some pictures of that. We managed to walk along the embankment here. We come to this bridge. And then this is what we mentioned as the Maybar Works chemical, which is magnesium. So I've just changed it onto another map where we can see in a bit more detail Whitehall Road Bridge, the magnesium works, Maybar Works. But later on, this whole area becomes Dunlop and Rankin. And we try and follow this line as best as we can. But unfortunately, we can't get on a lot of it because it is built on and it's so overgrown, and some of it is actually in gardens. There is nothing left of this underpass. And as we can see, it was a bit of a ramp with a gate on it, and it's a housing estate now. So there's nothing left of that. I'm not certain what this little bit is here that we're looking at. We've got signal posts there. This line was limited to 25 miles an hour. And then we managed to rejoin the line about here. And then I walk along the track bed here. I find something here, which we'll see on the video. Now I don't know what this is.
Any clues, anybody, you let me know. Once you've seen the video, tell me what you think this is. And then we come down, and this is the side we walk down here to this underpass here, and we'll pick the map up there a bit later on.
So we're at the bottom of the embankment here, and just behind me there used to be a tunnel or an archway going through to the Farnley clay works. I'll take a picture, I'll match it up, but we've also looked at this on the main map, and that's where it was, just there behind me. Turning the camera around for a better look, you can see it's quite a high embankment going over that way towards Whitehall Road. Over there was the clay works, and it was just here. Still trying to walk around to Whitehall Road. There is a photograph taken from somewhere around in front of me looking at the embankment with some old buildings in there and an old truck. I think my mate will like that. But the embankment here, I'll turn the camera around and show you. So over there was our tunnel, and this is the embankment. It's got to be 40 or 50 feet high here, and we might be able to walk back across there, and we will try when we get to the bridge. Now where we've come from is down there. There's our embankment there, and it's quite low here. All this is new, except for that house on the corner there. But all this was called Wilfrid Street, Wilfrid Road, I think it was. No, Wilfrid Street and Wilfrid Terrace. But there's a picture taken from about here, looking at that embankment, which you can see there. I'm going to match that in now. Difficult to know exactly where it was because there's no landmarks, there's nothing, only old maps to go from, but I think it's about here. I've made it on top of the embankment finally. I got on at the bridge and I've walked back. I'll turn the camera around and just to give you a bit of bearing on where I am at the moment. So we started our video off right up there today, and just down there is where the tunnel was underneath the embankment, and down there is all new housing estate, care facility, and I'll go back onto that in a moment. But this is our track bed, more or less. I'm probably a bit close to the edge right now, so it was probably a little bit more that way, but that side has all been built up. Now that place there, the Farnley Clay Works, Clay and Iron Works, closed in 1957, but it did have a standard gauge railway line entering the premises, and this is where it ran. This was single line, this point. And then down there is where the terrace was, where the picture of the van was, the three properties, looking at the embankment in the background. This is where we're going to join the actual track bed here. And this is walking towards Whitehall Road. Now, strangely enough, this is a bit of a public footpath up here. Now that's embanked at that side, but it never would have been, because it would have gone down, and then more or less directly here at the other side was a huge clay pit for digging out and making bricks, as we saw in an earlier episode. And if you haven't seen those, you need to go back and watch, because I found some really exciting stuff in those, and it's kind of exciting to see what's ahead of us now. Now the railway bridge we're going to no longer exists, but I have found photographs, and I've actually found aerial photographs as well. And I'll get the camera back on when I get up there, and I'll show you what's what. It is winter now, so the sunlight isn't very good. I am next to a main road, so it's going to be quite noisy. I'm still on the embankment, and at once upon a time that would have led to a bridge, but it's gone. knocked down, road widened, so you're going to have to use your imagination a little bit, but we have got a couple of landmarks. We've got the original road that used to be there, and the embankments, of course, but I'll point those out to you, and I'll overlay some photos, and I've got some aerial pictures as well to show you, sorry. So I'll zoom it in on the bridge, and what was across the road was quite amazing. Where I am now is still at the Farnley clay and ironworks side, but where I'm stood used to be double track, but it didn't go for long. It soon went off into a single track. I'll turn the camera around. That is where we've just come from. This is on top of the embankment, and this sign here is where a bridge used to run straight across that way into what was a huge iron production works called Dunlop and Rankin. And over there, before that was Dunlop and Rankin, where those builds are there, that used to be a chemical works for magnesium, and they would test the quality of metals, the type of balls they used to make, the magnesium balls. So if you had steel or gold or whatever else, they would produce the balls that you could put this product in, and it would test the quality of it. I'm not quite sure how that works, but I'm sure if a chemist ever watched it, you'll know what I'm on about. Now that iron and steel works was huge, and it's difficult to date, along with any of this railway line. This line, I can't find dates of Parliament passes of when it was allowed to be constructed. We can only guess, but Dunlop Company started, or it was registered already as a company in 1881. Now I don't think they moved to this site here up until probably about 1900, somewhere around there, and then it developed into Dunlop and Rankin. It was a huge site, and I've got loads of photographs of it. I'm going to put them up, and you'll see the railway line running at the side of it. You'll see the bridge. You'll see old buildings clustered over there, which used to be the chemical works, called Mayball Works, but I've never known the dates to when it opened and closed. Things are a bit of a mystery at this point. So I'll get down there, I'll take some photographs, then we'll move to the other side of the road. So just before I get across the road, we've got all this stonework here. That is rubble from the buttresses of the bridge at this side. I have got some photographs of this bridge being demolished as well. Now I'm across the road. That's where we just were. That's the old clay works. We're past all that now. The bridge used to come across here to about the middle of that road there, and all this has been dug out, and you can see there rise of the embankment. Now I'm going to try and get up there because there is a little bit of a path. I really should get my gimbal out, I think. And I don't know what we're going to see up here. There's not a lot left of this railway line. This part here, I believe, closed in 1988. So this is the track bed. There's our bridge end there, and it will have gone straight across here like that. We can walk across here a little bit, and I'm hoping we might be able to get round to there. That's where we've just come from, still on the track bed, and this is where it is. Now I'm not certain if this is somebody's garden or not. I will knock on some doors and see if I can get permission, because there's some photographs taken from about that fence looking this way. I did knock on a door, nobody answered, so I've not been able to gain access to that, but it doesn't matter because I've only come down about 100 feet and that is our track bed. And I think the photographs I'm after were taken around here. Track bed there, and I think the photographs were taken up here because these were the huge sheds that were the Dunlop and Rankin works. So I'll just take some photographs and try and match them in. So I'm now stood on the track bed here. This is about as far as we can come this way. This is it here. And as you can see, it's a bit of a thicket. I don't think I'm going to get through there, which means I'm going to have to go to the engine shed and come back and see how far we can get. There is a picture taken from around here, so I'll match that in as well. It's worth noting while I'm here, this is Dunlop Avenue, Ironstone Drive, all related to the industry. Right, we'll try and rejoin the track bed. I'm getting there slowly. I've come up to a vantage point, so I'm going to turn the camera around. I'm just going to point a few things out to you on where we are really. What we're looking at there is Dunlop Estate. That is where all the factory units used to be, and the railway line used to run at the back of that building there, and all their gardens are on the track bed. And then you can see that fence there, that's where the track bed runs, and I'm hoping to join it a bit further around the corner there. Anyone who makes YouTube videos will tell you it's alright looking at Google Earth, but you don't really know till you get there. No. I've come on to what's the track bed, and from the air it looks quite clear, but in the end, I'll turn the camera around and I'll show you where we're at and what's going on. That's the back of our housing estate here, and this fence here is the line of where the railway property finished. Here. Now we can see here, it is on a bit of an embankment here, but down the other side you can see the rooftops. So I can actually get onto the track bed here. And there's a little path here. Now I don't know where this goes, but this was double track, all this. And there is a photograph from about here, I think it is, looking up the track bed. You can just see the houses in the background there. That's why there's a bit of a track here. They've got access to it, look, with some steps. So I'll take that photograph and then we'll try and get to where I can walk on. continuing on, I'm going to have to leave the track bed because that's it there. It's just too overgrown, there's no access to that. What a shame it is not a public footpath. I'm going to have to go through the farmer's field again. I'll stick to the edge. The horses are in a different field over there, so hopefully I don't have to turn back and go all the way around. That's where I was in there. Looking at the condition of the fence, I would say that was an original boundary marker. I am keeping an eye open, that's our track bed over there. Keeping my eye open to see if it opens up into any kind of walkway. I might end up having to force my way through because it's not far. And I don't really want to go in the horse's field. If I come in here, look, we can see a bit of a delve there, and there's the embankment. So I've not gone through the horses field, which is there. I've decided to push my way through the track bed because it's a long way to walk round. And I've come on here and I'm quite glad I did now because I found something. It's quite exciting. I've got no idea what it is. I'll have to have a bit more of a study of the maps and see if something comes up, but I have studied them really well. So I think this has been pushed here from the engine shed behind me. Let me show you. That is where I've come from. I've pushed my way through there, that bit there, but I've got this. Can you see that? Coping stone, a coping stone. We've got a sleeper there. There's a sleeper there as well. Huge lintel pieces of wood and loads of stone. So something has been demolished and pushed to this area. I've got to continue on. There's a bit of an animal trail down there. Animals are smaller than me, so I still have to push through it, and we'll get down to the other end shortly, I hope. This is something worth showing you. We've got a post. It is quite literally the only one I've seen that looks like this. That's what drew my attention in, and the metalwork there. As we can see, it's attached. But what I have got is something a little bit more exciting to show you. Here. This one here has still got the metalwork on it. The cables. I'm almost at the end of the line. I'm hoping I can get through this way, not into somebody's back garden or fence. I don't actually know. But when we get there, that's going to be pretty much the end of our line. A little bit further down the line, our posts were back there. I've got some in front of me. I didn't think anything would exist, if anything at all, really. These are later editions. I don't know what sort of dates these were used, but if anybody knows, please tell me. I'll turn the camera around and I'll show you them. It's the posts. As you can see, still in situ. Some of them have wire on because this was a working railway line, don't forget, up until 1988, so they had to keep people off. This was an embankment. Now everything that you're looking at down there is modern because this here used to be a dye works. All round there used to be a housing estate. There was chapels, there was mills. They were all back-to-back terraces, and the main road, Royd Road, just running up there, used to be the main road up towards Gildersham before that ring road was built. The ring road's down there, if you know Leeds. But you can see our fence post following through there. Hopefully we can push through there because that is not a garden. That should take us to what was once a railway bridge. I've made it through. You can see our fence post there. That's the end of them. It doesn't look like there's any more. You can see the shape of the embankment, and these houses are now pretty much where the embankment was. And I'll switch the camera on next when we get to the end, unless I see something that's relevant to the railway. Now I've made it to the end of the line. This was a turning triangle, but there did used to be a turntable here at one time as well. I'll go to the overhead maps and I'll show you what was here because it's so difficult to see now.
At this point we'll jump back onto the maps. We've zoomed this out quite a way on the side by side. If you look on the left, this is where we've walked down. If you look on the right, you can see what it is today, just overgrown. It's about here where we found the pile of rubble. Now that is a drain that goes underneath there, but I don't think that pile of rubble has anything to do with that. And then we walk down the side of these buildings, and then we come to this road here, which was an underpass if you look on the left map. And then if you look on the right map, you can see that it is now a road. There's the turntable. We'll zoom it in a bit better shortly. Now if we look to the top of the map, we've got this road that comes through here, and we have a quick look at this underpass there, which used to be the main road, down onto Gelderd Road, which is over here. But there we now have a ring road where there used to be nothing, so that's now the main road. The underpass is closed off. I'm going to zoom in a little bit closer. We can see all around the area used to be factories, mills, housing, all demolished. Nothing remains except for the little underpass, which is there, and this railway bridge here, what we take a look at, farmers access, and then the engine shed, which I've actually got some photographs up, so I'll put those on. Sadly, virtually nothing remains of this site. I hope you enjoy the rest of the video.
That is where we came from. You can see the top of the embankment there, which would have run across here. This has all been dug out and lowered, but you can see straight away the embankment at that side. This was quite a narrow lane that went under the railway, and I've got a photograph taken from down there looking up, and I'll show you what that was like. That is where it went off towards the main line, Leeds Dewsbury. Where we were at the back of the houses up there, where the fence posts were, there was another line that went off in that direction that goes under a bridge, and we'll get up there shortly, but we'll just have an explore down this side first. That's where we come from. This was an underpass for a farmer's track up that slope there, and that slope is important, but this is your embankment here, and I think it's about where I'm stood now, or just a little bit further on. About here is where the turntable was, which I pointed out to you in the overhead maps. I don't think we can go any further than that, because that goes off and joins the main line. Down there, I'm hoping that you can see the traffic on that road there. That's the ring road. That never used to be there. This here used to be the main road. Down that way. Down there and round to the right. And it used to come here. This is the way it used to come. This is still part of Royd's Lane, but sadly it is fenced off and you can't get to the tunnel anymore. But this used to be the main road through onto I think it's Gilderson Road at the other side, but it was also access to the fields and to the bridge that we're going to go see up there, but we've still got a cobbled road. But it's pretty crazy to think that this was the main road. Everything that was here has gone except this. That railway above it is the main line, Leeds Dewsbury, take you off that way to Leeds. That would take you over to a bridge over the ring road, what's there now, that would have like, I think something like 8 tracks over it at one time. If you look at it at Google Earth, it's pretty crazy. But unfortunately, we can't access this tunnel, which would be quite special to go through there. That used to access something called Highfield Farm. as well as a pub called the Wheat Sheaf. There was clay works at that side as well as a few homes. I've not been to the other side, but I would imagine it's also fenced off like this. I don't really know why. I suppose it would potentially be a murder alley or something, I don't know. But we'll get back up there towards the engine shed. I will walk to the end there though, because there are some photographs taken from about there where you could see all the lines going off. Underneath that house there, underneath these houses here. And basically looking down that road, this is the track bed. Absolutely nothing left of it. But from here, there are some photographs taken of what the shed used to look like. So what I'm showing you now is the embankment where the underpass was, which this was a little farm track that came up here. Now them buildings there are the site of the engine shed. It held 16 engines in total. But this bridge here that we're about to go on is really quite remarkable, because the builders left it. Whoever built this estate kept this bridge. Yes, it's a footpath and an access still, but I suppose they could have torn it out and built a newer bridge. But this is just beautiful. And we'll go down and we'll have a look, but while I'm up here we'll get some bearings. Look at that. We've still got railway posts up here, farmers access. That is where we've come from. Let me go to the bridge. It's likely it may have been wider or built to be wider, but that's difficult to say. But that's where your railway ran, underneath there. Back to Dunlop and Rankin through those back gardens. Following that hedgerow all the way up, right up to Farnley Clay Works, to the narrow gauge we've looked at. There were a few engineering buildings around here to do with the shed that was here. It used to be known as 25G up until about 1925, I think, and then it was known as 55C. Closed in 1966, I believe, and that's exactly where the shed was. Down here is our railway line going off that way, because it's a triangle joining the main line, which then comes back up to our embankment there, which would then run up there, and they would both join up there, going off to Dunlop and Rankin. There is actually a video of this place online explaining how they used to turn. Now the watering was at the back of the shed here, so the back of the shed was about there, and this is where the watering was to fill up the steam engines. There are some pictures of this shed. I will try and line up a few shots. It is going to be difficult because the only landmark we've got is this bridge, and I'll show you this from below as well. I've come down to show you the underside of this bridge, but I'd also like to show you where the line ran, where the back of the engine shed was, whilst I'm down here. We will get a better look at the bridge in a moment. Double track. You can see the embankment. It would follow down through those houses there. The back of our shed, somewhere around here, but the shed wasn't exactly butted up to this bridge. There was a gap and there was a line down the side here as well. And all, as you can imagine, it's completely redeveloped. Nothing left except for this bridge. I don't see any iron makers' names on the girders, but I will continue to look at both sides. As you can see, this would have been off up to Farnley branch line. That way, going off to the main line, Leeds New Line, Leeds Dewsbury, and Farnley Flying Junction is down that way. I want to look underneath there at the kind of vaulting that there is on there. You're not going to see any iron makers at this side. And then our trains would be turning on this triangle when there were steam trains, of course, not when there were DMUs. And here we are at this side of the bridge as well. And I find it amazing that this is here and it's been made a feature of for this housing estate. If only more people would do these sort of things. Got a little bit of ironwork up there. Again, no makers on the ironwork at this side. I'd like to say thank you for watching this series. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you haven't seen them all, please go back, watch the other episodes. I also cover all kinds of things that just spark me interest on this channel. So please go around, have a look. In the meantime, take care, hit subscribe, thumbs up button for me, and please share it. Bye bye.